Abortions for everyone!
Cut out the abortion jokes. Brunch and then abortion! Yep.
You don't want it in there?
No, I want that to be I want that to be the whole episode.
Yeah.
You got it.
Just that.
This part's so awkward with people around.
Sorry.
Hey!
Hey.
Welcome to here. I have with me today Emily, who you've seen before.
Hi.
We'll try that again. So, a few months back, Emily and I went to the digital diversity, words are hard. Digital, aren't they hard?
Super hard, yeah.
The digital diversity conference that was here at the university, and you two, plus Claire Mulcahy, kind of had this panel of your own called Whoops, I'm Late on the Internet. And in both of your sort of introductory bio statement things, both mentioned Witch Please. Mm-hmm. And though you weren't talking about it in your actual papers, you kind of, that was an academic setting, and you weren't afraid of saying that we had this podcast about Harry Potter. And so, obviously that means that you see it working in tandem with your academic personas. And in an episode you actually mentioned that too, where you say you stand behind everything that you guys say here, but could you talk about that? Like, did you ever have any reservations about what that might do for your academic futures, or?
Yes and no. I'm personally of two minds about it. My one mind, which I think is very similar to Hannah's, is that any job that I would be applying for in the future that does not see me as qualified because I have done this kind of academic pop culture in public kind of project is probably not going to be a good fit for me anyway. So I'm not especially interested in saving myself for that kind of future. On the other hand, because the circumstances for tenure track jobs are so up in the air and in flux and sometimes dire and sometimes hopeful but not stable, I have often semi-jokingly referred to Witch Please as being the project that is more likely to get me a job in the future, which may or may not be an academic job, but that I, through this podcast and through this project that we're doing, especially if it leads to us doing other similar projects in the future, feel like there's a lot of really valuable and exciting and interesting skills that are being that we're both learning but also demonstrating that we have semi-acquired in the actual show.
Yeah, I'm not really of two minds. I would say I tell my students about it. You were both my students, so you know about it. But I also, when I teach, I tell my students, like if you want to hear more about the way some of the ideas we're talking about here might apply to texts you're more familiar with, like go listen to it. And I have students who are listeners. I tell members of the faculty about it. I tweet about it under my, professional Twitter handle. But I tweet about a lot of things under my professional Twitter handle that might disqualify me from particular kinds of positions or particular kinds of institutions. But again, I'm not particularly interested in sacrificing my politics for career advancement. I think that that's pretty at odds with being a public intellectual. I think you should probably try as best as you can to stand up for the things that you believe in. Yeah. And one of the things that I believe in is sort of doing academic criticism and doing pedagogy in public, and doing it in popular forums and talking to people outside of the walls of the institution and talking about things that maybe don't necessarily belong in the canon of studied literature. Though I would say the number of academic institutions that consider Harry Potter to be beneath them these days are few and far between.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like, people get it. We should maybe be talking about, like, huge, groundbreaking literary phenomena in
Yeah.
English departments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also neither of us are particularly interested in, how do I want to word this? For a long time, it has been especially important for young female academics to police themselves in public in ways that it was not expected of young male academics. And I think that is in some ways still the case, but I think neither of us are interested in being part of that problem anymore. And in this really fun and wonderful and whimsical way, really resisting that kind of, well, it's okay if men do it, it's not okay if women do it kind of binary.
Yeah. Yeah. When I have moments where I think, like, oh, do I want to be presenting myself publicly as somebody who, you know, has, like, a body and exists in the world, which is kind of a really dangerous thing to do when you're a woman and want to be taken seriously. And then when I have even a single moment of doubt or hesitation about that, it immediately makes me extremely angry and makes me want to do it more. Which is sort of my response to things where I'm like, this might be a bad idea for reasons that are caused by the patriarchy, so I'm gonna do it super hard. Which, you know, like, might just end up, like, backfiring entirely.
Yeah.
But who gives a fuck?
Then it gives you something really exciting to be angry about in public.
I love being angry so much.
Yeah.
I mean, we're as legitimate professors as the people called professor in this book.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's no reason for me to believe that there's a tenure system at Hogwarts, because they come and go. Tenure might explain Snape, but
yeah.
that aside,
And Professor Binns, who is a ghost, he's dead, but he's still a professor.
That's
He's still
a-
teaching.
it's a pretty good metaphor for tenure.
Okay, can you talk about being ladies on the internet? How about that?
Okay. Can I start off by complaining about the fact that nobody has ever trolled us? I feel like we're not being
Yeah.
feminist enough if nobody on the internet's mad at us.
I wonder if maybe we're just not famous enough to be trolled.
You don't need to be famous to be harassed as a woman. That's a right we all have.
That's a very good point. You raise a very good point. I don't think it's that we're not being feminist enough. You know what I think it is?
Mhm.
I think it's that we have so much love for this series that even though we are like tearing bits and pieces of it to shreds, it's always in this way of like, here are all these things that are so interesting and make us so angry about this thing that we love. And I think if we were instead actually actively criticizing Harry Potter, I think that we would get trollier trolls
Yeah.
instead of people who are like, I'm not sure that I agree with you. I have these thoughts based on these pages.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep listening. Yeah, as an aside, I want to get back to sort of misogyny online, but I do want to say that one of the things that I feel like we're modeling on an active basis that I think is really important for people who have a misunderstanding of what literary critics do is showing that the objects that we tear apart are the objects we love most.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trying to, critics in general are not trying to show how smart they are by outsmarting literary texts. Like, that's a really boring thing to do, right? You take up something that you find fascinating, that you have, you know, some deep interest in, even if you find it really problematic. You're not going to spend all of that time reading something and thinking about it if you think it's dumb.
Yeah,
Right.
and like often that's something that you learn when you are in university, right? If you find yourself writing about things that you hate, eventually somebody is going to come along and say, can you write about something that isn't a straw man? Like, can you find something interesting to say that isn't just, this is bad, here are the reasons why it's bad?
Yeah, because
'Cause
good
that's-
scholarship is not like, this is racist. I win.
It's like the Margaret Wente approach. Literature, just like, here are all the things that are bad, I only read the titles.
A list of things that are terrible. You know, like BuzzFeed piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think our experience of being women on the internet has been framed within a very particular fan community that is a famously warm and welcoming fan community that I think neither of us had particularly interacted with before, but our experience has been that it's been, Harry Potter fans have been incredibly welcoming and incredibly warm and excited about what we're doing, which has been delightful.
Yeah.
And because we were entering in at that point, the reception has been entirely positive. Doing feminism online is an incredibly dangerous thing to do. It's more dangerous if you are a woman whose gender identity intersects with other forms of minoritization. So I think if we were women of color, we would be in a more dangerous position. We also have an incredibly powerful institution backing us, right? It's a lot easier to say things in public when you're a doctor, because even though you are a woman doing feminism on the internet, you are also a mouthpiece for a colonial patriarchal institution. So it's like everything I'm saying is being legitimized by the very institution, or by the very sort of forms of power that I am protesting. So that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's been an interesting experience. I sort of went in, I'm always ready to fight somebody. I always go in everywhere braced for a fight. And then when there's no fight to be had, I'm just like,
Got all dressed up for nothing.
all dressed up and no place to go.
Though, the episode that we are releasing tonight is an episode about video games, so maybe...
Oh, let's hashtag it Gamergate and see if we can get in a fight.
You know what though, we didn't talk about gender during the actual gameplay or our analysis of the gameplay at all, so I don't think we will. We're just talking about, I think it's just us
Could we go back and re-record it?
I know, we might have to, because, I mean, what is even the point?
Yeah, it is evidence of a woman playing a video game.
It's true.
Yeah, that woman was me, and I did a really bad job.
It was awesome. It was wonderful.
It was really fun.
And
I'll edit that compliment out.
good idea. Yeah, I think when we were talking about the things that we liked about the game, I identified how bad I am at playing video games and talked about how I really like games that have minimal peril and where you just collect things. So I really fit into a nice stereotype of like
We're
delicate.
gonna be like the new spokespeople for Gamergate.
I
They're gonna
know.
be like, yeah, these women get it.
I know, we did a bad job.
We did a really bad job. So we're bad feminists.
Only when it comes to video games though.
Yeah. We do have our first public event coming up. Which we're speaking at the Edmonton Fan and Comic Expo. Did I name that correctly?
Or Comic and Fan Expo. I
Who
don't know.
knows?
People just call it the Edmonton Expo as if there's only one.
Yeah, the Expo. And we put feminism right in our panel title with the hope that people would come and try to pick a fight with us.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can you give the date, time, and place of it? No.
I believe it's September 27th, but we don't yet know what time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also be like super pregnant at
So
that
pregnant.
at that event, and so my hope is that if people are really mean, we can like accuse them of, we can like use their own patriarchy against them by telling them that they're not allowed to be mean to pregnant ladies. I can like cry. I'm just kidding, that's not gonna happen. You say a bunch of swear
So
words.
ashamed of you.
My fetus will hear them. will be really upset at me. Why is she out in public when she's pregnant? That's not allowed. Why is she feminist and pregnant? I don't understand.
Yeah, stop being a woman in public.
Abortion's
It's
for
gross.
everyone.
Cut out the abortion joke. Brunch and then abortion. Take that.
You don't want it in there?
No, I want that to be I want that to be the whole episode.
Yeah.
You got it.
Just that.
That will be the opening.
Brunch and then abortion.
Yes. No, it will be. Just you wait.